My name is Greg Madison, and I learned my wife's price at a backyard barbecue on a Tuesday night in September. $100 and a burger. That's what she said I was worth. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I was flipping patties on our Weber grill, watching the flames dance under the meat, when Amber decided to entertain our neighbors with her razor-sharp wit. She'd had 3 beers and 2 wine coolers, which meant her filter was completely gone. "Look at him," she announced to the crowd gathered around our patio table. 42 years old, still thinks grilling makes him some kind of caveman hero. The neighbors chuckled politely. I kept flipping burgers. "You know what?" Amber continued, her voice getting louder. $100 and a burger and he's yours. Any takers? That's when Tyler Fox, our 28-year-old neighbor from 3 houses down, stepped forward with that smirk I'd grown to hate. Without missing a beat, he pulled out his wallet and handed Amber a crisp $100 bill. "I'll take that deal," he said, his gym-sculpted arms flexing as he reached for the spatula in my hand. "But I want my burger medium rare." The laughter died. Amber's face went white. I stood there holding a spatula, watching my wife clutch another man's money while our neighbors shifted uncomfortably in their lawn chairs. I should have thrown the spatula down, should have told Tyler exactly where he could shove his $100. Instead, I smiled. "Keep the money, Tyler," I said, my voice steady as concrete. "But the burger's going to cost you a lot more than that." That night, Amber tried to laugh it off. "It was just a joke, Greg. God, you're so sensitive." I was loading the dishwasher, scraping barbecue sauce off plates while she sat at our kitchen island, scrolling through her phone. The same phone that had been buzzing with notifications all evening. "Funny joke," I said. "Real hilarious." "Tyler's harmless. He's just a kid. Kids got expensive taste in jokes." She looked up from her phone, finally sensing the ice in my voice. "What's that supposed to mean?" I dried my hands on the dish towel, taking my time. 20 years in construction had taught me patience. You don't rush a foundation. You don't hurry revenge. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just thinking about market values." 2 hours later, she announced she was going out with the girls, Cassie and Leanne, her usual partners in crime. They were hitting some new dance club downtown. Wouldn't be back until late. I kissed her cheek and told her to have fun. Then I followed her. The Velvet Room was exactly the kind of place Amber loved. Loud music, expensive drinks, and enough dark corners to hide whatever you didn't want seen. I parked across the street and watched her silver Honda pull into the lot. She wasn't with Cassie and Leanne. Tyler Fox climbed out of the passenger seat, his hand immediately finding the small of her back as they walked toward the entrance. He was wearing a black button-down that probably cost more than my work boots, and Amber was in that red dress she claimed made her feel confident. I sat in my truck for 30 minutes, watching through the club's windows. Amber and Tyler weren't dancing, they were grinding. Her hands were in his hair. His were places a married woman's neighbor shouldn't be touching. My phone buzzed. A text from Amber. "Having so much fun with the girls, don't wait up." I took a screenshot. The next morning, Amber was all smiles and coffee breath, chattering about her night out while I ate cereal and read the sports page. She'd showered when she got home, which she never did after girls' nights. Usually she just collapsed into bed smelling like perfume and wine. "Cassie got so drunk," she was saying. "We had to practically carry her to the car." "That's nice," I said, not looking up from the paper. "Leanne's thinking about getting divorced. Her husband's been working too much." Terrible thing when spouses don't appreciate what they have. She paused, coffee mug halfway to her lips. "What?" "Nothing. Just agreeing with you." That afternoon, I called my foreman, Pete, and told him I needed a favor. Pete Kowalski had worked for me for 8 years, ever since I started Madison Construction. He was loyal, discreet, and had a talent for creative problem-solving. You remember Tyler Fox? I asked him. Lives on Maple Street, drives that white Prius with the Coexist bumper sticker? Pretty boy real estate agent? Yeah, I remember him. Why? He's been parking in construction zones, blocking our trucks. Pete was quiet for a moment, then, that's inconsiderate. Very. Think you could have a word with him about proper parking etiquette? Oh, absolutely. Education is important. At 3 a.m., Tyler's Prius was completely blocked in by one of our dump trucks. Pete had parked it so close to Tyler's driver's side door that he'd need to be a contortionist to get in. The passenger side was against a fence. I know this because Tyler called the police at 3:15 a.m., screaming about harassment and property damage. Officer Torres, who'd known me since high school, took the complaint very seriously. Greg, he said when he called me at 6 a.m., your truck's blocking someone's driveway. Is it? That's terrible. Pete must have had an emergency. We'll move it right away. See that you do. And Greg? Maybe tell Pete to be more careful where he parks. Absolutely, Officer Torres. Wouldn't want anyone to think we were being inconsiderate. By the time we moved the truck, Tyler had been trapped in his house for 4 hours. He'd missed 2 client meetings and a yoga class. Amber didn't mention it. The secret phone was hidden in Amber's winter coat pocket, the one she wouldn't need for another month. I found it while doing laundry, which I'd volunteered for after she complained about being too busy with work. It was an old iPhone, the kind people buy when they want to keep certain conversations private. The kind with a different number that doesn't show up on family phone plans. The messages went back 6 months. Tyler wasn't her first. He wasn't even her second. There was Brad from her yoga class, Marcus from the marketing department, and someone named Jake, whose contact info was just a phone number and a fire emoji. The photos were worse than the messages. I sat in our bedroom, scrolling through months of betrayal, while Amber showered after another late night at the office. Each message was a knife twist, each photo a slap in the face. But I kept reading, kept looking, kept building my case. Tyler's messages were the most recent and the most arrogant. Your husband looked pissed at the barbecue. Think he knows? Greg's clueless. He thinks I'm at book club right now. When are you going to leave him? Soon. Just need to figure out the money situation first. I took screenshots of everything. The next day, I visited Amber's office. Madison Construction had done the renovation work on her building 2 years ago, which meant I knew the building manager, the security guards, and most importantly, the IT guy who'd set up their network. Hey, Danny, I said, finding him in the server room. Remember me? Greg Madison, Madison Construction? Of course. How's business? Good. Listen, I need a favor. My wife Amber works here, and she's been getting some harassing messages on her personal email. She's too embarrassed to ask for help herself, but I'm worried about her safety. Danny's face grew serious. What kind of harassment? I showed him some of the tamer screenshots from the secret phone, carefully cropped to remove identifying information. This kind of stuff. I just want to make sure her work isn't being affected. That's terrible. What can I do? Could you just keep an eye on her internet usage? Make sure she's not being bothered during work hours? She uses her personal email on the company network sometimes. Danny nodded. I'll set up some monitoring. If anyone's bothering her, we'll know about it. 3 days later, Danny called me. Greg, you need to know something about your wife's internet activity. What did you find? She's not being harassed. She's the one sending inappropriate messages during work hours, explicit photos, personal conversations with multiple men. Her boss is going to want to see this. I appreciate you looking out for her, Danny. Do what you think is right. Amber came home that Friday with red eyes and a termination letter. She'd been fired for misuse of company resources and inappropriate conduct. Her boss, Janine Walsh, had called it a pattern of unprofessional behavior that violated multiple company policies. It's not fair, Amber sobbed into her wine glass. Janine's always had it out for me. I rubbed her shoulders, playing the supportive husband. I'm sure you'll find something better. Tyler says he might have some leads in real estate. That's nice of him to help. She looked at me strangely. You're being very calm about this. What good would getting upset do? We'll figure it out. That night, she went to Tyler's house to discuss job opportunities. I knew this because I'd installed a tracking app on her real phone months ago, back when I first suspected something was wrong. While she was gone, I got to work. Mrs. Cranford had lived on our street for 30 years and knew everyone's business better than they knew it themselves. She was also president of the neighborhood association and had opinions about everything from lawn maintenance to property values. "Greg, dear," she said when I knocked on her door Saturday morning, "I've been meaning to talk to you about something." "What's that, Mrs. Cranford?" "Well, it's about Amber and that young man from down the street. I don't like to gossip, but..." "But?" "I've seen his car in your driveway several times when your truck wasn't there. And last Tuesday night I saw them together at that new restaurant on Main Street. They looked very friendly." I sighed, playing the part of the concerned husband. "I've been worried about that too. Amber's been acting different lately." "Have you talked to her?" "I've tried, but she just gets defensive. Says I'm being paranoid." Mrs. Cranford's eyes lit up with the thrill of confirmed drama. "What are you going to do?" "I'm not sure. I don't want to make accusations without proof." "Of course not. But Greg, if you need someone to talk to, or if you need help with anything, you just let me know. This neighborhood looks out for its own." By Sunday afternoon, half the street knew that Greg Madison was having marriage troubles, and Tyler Fox was the reason why. Mrs. Cranford's phone tree was more efficient than social media. Monday morning, I started phase 2. Tyler's real estate business depended on reputation and referrals. He'd built his client base through neighborhood connections and word-of-mouth recommendations. It was a fragile foundation, easily damaged. I started small. A conversation with Bob Henderson, who was thinking about selling his house. "You know, Bob, I heard some concerning things about Tyler Fox's business practices. Nothing confirmed, just rumors about him getting too personal with clients." A casual mention to the Johnsons, who were looking for a buyer's agent. "Tyler's a nice enough kid, but I'm not sure he has the experience for a purchase that size." A word with the mailman, who knew everyone and talked to everyone. "Keep an eye on Tyler's house, would you? There's been some strange activity lately." By Wednesday, Tyler's phone had stopped ringing. By Friday, he'd lost 3 listings. But I wasn't done. Saturday night was the monthly neighborhood block party, held in the community center parking lot. Everyone attended, including Amber and Tyler, who arrived separately but spent the evening whispering in corners. I'd spent the week preparing for this moment. "Attention, everyone," I called out, tapping my beer bottle with a fork. "I'd like to make a toast." The crowd gathered around, curious. Amber looked nervous. Tyler looked confused. "To my beautiful wife, Amber," I began, raising my bottle high. "Who taught me that everything has a price, even marriage?" Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. "For instance," I continued, pulling out my phone, "I learned this week that my wife's price is exactly $100 and a burger, just like she said at our barbecue last month." I pressed play on the video I'd recorded that night, Tyler's voice crystal clear through my phone speaker. "I'll take that deal." The laughter died. "But here's the funny thing about market prices," I said, my voice carrying across the silent parking lot. "They can change based on supply and demand, and it turns out the supply is pretty high." I swiped to the next video, recorded through the club's window, Amber and Tyler grinding against each other on the dance floor. Amber's face went white. Tyler started toward me, but Pete stepped up beside me, all 6'4" of him. "The market research was fascinating," I continued. "Did you know that my wife has been conducting business with multiple clients? Tyler here is just the latest in a long line of customers." "Greg, stop," Amber whispered. "Stop? Why would I stop? This is the best part. I swiped to screenshots of the secret phone messages. Here's Tyler asking when she's going to leave me. Here's Amber explaining her pricing structure to Brad from yoga class. And here's my personal favorite. I read Tyler's message aloud. Your husband looked pissed at the barbecue. Think he knows? The crowd was dead silent. Mrs. Cranford's mouth hung open. The Johnsons were staring at Amber like she'd grown a second head. So here's what's going to happen, I said, putting my phone away. Tyler, you're going to stay away from my wife, my house, and my street. Amber, you're going to pack your things and find somewhere else to conduct your business, and everyone else gets to decide what they think about people who joke about other people's worth. Tyler found his voice first. You can't prove anything. Those messages could be fake. I smiled. Could be. But Mrs. Cranford saw you two at Romano's last Tuesday. The Hendersons saw your car in my driveway Thursday afternoon. And Danny Morrison from Amber's old office has security footage of you two in the parking garage. Tyler's face crumbled. Amber started crying. The beautiful thing about small towns, I said, is that everyone talks, and now everyone knows exactly what you two are worth. I walked away, leaving them standing in the middle of the crowd, exposed and humiliated. The final confrontation came 3 weeks later at Murphy's Bar and Grill on a cold October night. Amber had been staying with her sister, and Tyler had been avoiding the neighborhood entirely. But word travels fast in small towns, and I'd heard they were planning to leave together. I couldn't let that happen. I arrived at Murphy's at 8 p.m., knowing they'd be there. Amber had always loved the place, said it reminded her of college. Tyler had been drinking there every night since the block party, according to Rick the bartender, who'd worked construction with me years ago. They were sitting in a corner booth, heads together, plotting their escape. Amber saw me first, her face going pale under the dim bar lights. Greg, she said, as I approached their table. We need to talk. No, I said, sliding into the booth across from them. We really don't. Tyler started to stand, but I held up my hand. Sit down, Tyler. You're going to want to hear this. The bar was crowded, filled with neighbors and co-workers and people who'd known me for years. Perfect audience for what came next. I've been thinking about that joke you made, Amber, about my worth, $100 and a burger, and I realized you were right. She blinked, confused. What? I was worth exactly that much, to you. But here's the thing about worth. It's relative. I pulled out an envelope and set it on the table between us. This is the divorce paperwork, already filed. The house, the business, the savings accounts, all mine. Turns out adultery affects property division in this state. Amber's eyes widened. You can't do that. Already did. See, while you two were playing house, I was documenting everything. The secret phone, the messages, the photos, the lies about girls' nights and book clubs and late meetings. Tyler leaned forward. This is harassment. No, this is business, and business is about relationships, Tyler. You should know that, being in real estate. I turned to address the bar, raising my voice so everyone could hear. Did you all know that Tyler Fox here likes to collect married women? It's true. He's got quite the hobby. Greg, stop, Amber hissed. Stop, but I'm just getting started. I opened the envelope and pulled out printed copies of the messages. Here's Tyler asking my wife when she's going to leave me. Here's Amber explaining how she's been lying to me for months. And here's my personal favorite. I held up a photo from the secret phone, one of the tamer ones but still obviously intimate. This was taken in my house, in my bedroom, while I was at work. The bar had gone quiet. Everyone was staring at our table, at Amber's tears and Tyler's red face and my calm smile. So here's what I learned about worth, I continued. I'm worth 20 years of marriage, a successful business, a house, and the respect of this community. You two, you're worth exactly what you priced yourselves at. Nothing. I stood up, pulling out my wallet. I counted out 10 $100 bills and dropped them on the table. There's your 1,000, Tyler. Same amount you offered at the barbecue. Consider it payment for services rendered. You've taught me exactly what my wife is worth, and exactly what kind of man you are. Amber was sobbing now, mascara running down her cheeks. Tyler looked like he wanted to disappear. But here's the best part, I said, loud enough for the entire bar to hear. I'm buying everyone in this place a drink, on me, because some lessons are worth celebrating. The bar erupted in cheers. Rick started pouring drinks, grinning from ear to ear. People were clapping, laughing, raising their glasses in toast. I looked down at Amber one last time. $100 and a burger, huh? Turns out you were wrong about the price. You're not worth nearly that much. I walked to the bar, slapped $500 on the counter, and told Rick to keep them coming. Behind me, I could hear Amber crying and Tyler trying to comfort her, but their voices were drowned out by the celebration. Mrs. Cranford appeared at my elbow, grinning like she'd won the lottery. Greg Madison, that was the most satisfying thing I've ever witnessed. Just market correction, Mrs. Cranford. Supply and demand. By the time I left Murphy's that night, Amber and Tyler were gone. Not just from the bar, but from town entirely. Tyler's house went up for sale the next week, and Amber never came back for the rest of her things. I kept the divorce papers in my truck for months, just in case anyone asked about the details, but nobody did. In small towns, everyone already knows the story before you tell it, and sometimes the story has exactly the ending it deserves.